What it has to take is that desire to know that I want to be back out there on the field. Yes, physically, I'll be ready. I could play right now if I wanted to play, hands down. I could run fast right now. I'm feeling good. But physically-wise, I can do it. Mentally-wise, desire-wise, it's not there.
I think one of the things we've learned this week is how big of a component the mental approach and the mental aspect to the game is from everything we heard from Andrew Luck. Very honest words from Rob Gronkowski, emotional at times. What was your reaction to what he had to say, C?
Well, I do realize this, that I seemed a little confused afterwards because he had talked about what the game had done to him, and the game was hurting him, and he needed to step away from the game. But he also said, in a month, in 6 months, I could be back. I'm already running everything. I could be back playing that game. So for me, I'm confused. What I'm clear about is that in this new collective bargaining agreement, when they stopped testing for marijuana, and as you could see with the company that he was there representing, I believe there's going to be a number of players that either decide to continue playing football or come back into football because they're able to medicate themselves in a different manner. So this next collective bargaining agreement is a huge deal on a number of fronts. But I don't believe that marijuana testing and it being illegal the way it is today, and I believe if they change the collective bargaining agreement during the season, which they might come to an agreement during the season, you're going to see people like Gronk and others to be like, wow, you know something? I feel like with pain management, the right way, a natural way, I believe that I can play in the National Football League. But from a mental standpoint, you can't play this game unless you mentally are clocked in. And that is, I'm willing to do everything to my body, my mind, to put myself so that I can win. The other thing is, Gronk, what he didn't sign up for was 9 years in New England with Bill Belichick, making sure that every interview that he said the right thing, the pressure every single day that they put on their players. So I heard Gronk. I was a little confused about the plain message and everything. But I know playing in New England, that's why guys don't have long careers in New England. That time that he was there, look at all the things that happened. The wins, the losses of friends, Aaron Hernandez, other great players, Randy Moss leaving, other guys that wanted to stay in New England, they couldn't, and the pressure to win every single year. So I feel for him, and he made the right decision, because if his mind's not in it, he shouldn't be out there playing.
The other part that I took away from that was he mentioned that after the Super Bowl, he was in tears, not of joy, but out of pain, and that for the month following the Super Bowl, he had trouble sleeping more than 20 minutes, getting out of bed, and it was because of a hit that I feel like I've seen Rob Gronkowski take 100 times in his career. This didn't seem like any out of the ordinary play. I mean, that's a bad hit on his lower leg, but I feel like we have seen Gronk take that type of punishment, and I feel like you see that type of punishment regularly in an NFL game. And the reason that it stuck out to me was because I think the average fan, the viewer, has a hard time realizing, even a play like that, the level of brutality, the lasting impact, the level of damage it can do.
So tell people, because he did describe that, they had to actually take out 1,000 milliliters of blood from that quad, just from that one hit alone.
Absolutely.
Over the course of a couple of months. It just would not heal.
He got his quad drained, as you're describing, and he talked about how he had trouble for weeks sleeping more than 20 minutes at a time. And while on replay you see it, he gets hit really solidly right in his quad, but that wasn't a hit that during the game, I think anyone said, oh my God, is he going to come back on the field? And he, of course, continued to play and continued to go out and make the single biggest play of that game. So I understand why, for Gronk, if after winning another Super Bowl, you are in pain instead of in joy, why you might say, this isn't fun for me anymore. And I don't think it's coincidental that we've now, in the last 5 years, had 4 separate guys who at different times in their rookie contracts were considered potential future all-timers. And Patrick Willis, Calvin Johnson, Rob Gronkowski, and Andrew Luck all said, you know what, at least for the time being, I got what I came here for. I got either enough money, enough memories, enough of the two combined that I can now step away, because if you are that caliber of player, by the time you get to your second contract, you do have the type of financial security that gives you the ability that if you have lost the passion or if football is no longer fun for you, that you can move on. So I don't think it's going to be a long list of guys, but I don't think that Andrew Luck and Gronk and those guys are going to be the end of players who we feel like, wow, their careers ended 4 or 5 years earlier than we would have expected.
But one thing we can't do, we can't assume that all these football players loved football. There's a difference in loving football and loving the benefits of football. And typically when you get to a certain mark, if you get to that mark financially, you can walk away from the game. So to say that all these guys, the football was knocked out of them, I've been in too many locker rooms and I know it varies in the degrees that people love football and how much they want to win and how much they want to sacrifice. And you can believe with the amount of money that's in the game, you're not going to see it in the NBA because you can play in the NBA. Man, it's easy. Like, you can't get hurt the way you can be hurt in the NFL, and they allow the veteran players with the guaranteed contracts to be able to milk out those last few years. NFL, you can't do that. Gronk can't go out and be a special teams player. He can't be a role player after being a star. So for me, it's just the beginning. You will see more people walk away. It's no different than in the coal mine. All right, you think people would work in the coal mine as many years they did with the hazards they had if they could retire? No, and once they got independently wealthy, you know what they do? Hey, you know something? I don't have to do this anymore. And that's what you're going to see on a regular basis because the money is there. And you get $20, $30 million in the bank. Why would I jeopardize my brain or my body the rest of my life? Like, why would you do that?
Right, unless it is something you just truly, deeply love. And I think Chris's point that for some people, football is a passion, and for some people, it's a means to an end. It's the one, maybe the only or one of only a couple paths to early retirement, to wealth, to fame, whatever you're actually searching for.
I think every profession, especially where the average salaries can be 6 or 7 figures, there's a bunch of people in it for the money.
Yes.
You think every lawyer, every doctor's in it for the practice medicine? No, to make people better? No, absolutely not. For the benefits of it, to have that tag on those initials on their name, to say, I was in the NFL. There's a lot that do that, not only in the NFL, but also in other professions.
And in reading just more about this, a lot of players talked about how they didn't want to let down their parents or coaches who'd been with them since they were little kids, and it was just the path that they followed. They knew no other way. You play here, you play in college, and then hopefully you get drafted. It's what we talked about with Ricky Williams. He just didn't love football, and I think when he walked away, we were kind of surprised. Well, how do you not love the game?
And I think Ricky's on one end of the spectrum. I think Gronk did and does love football, but he got to a point to where he didn't need it anymore. So, like, I think there's different. There are people that will play until multiple teams until they get cut, then go try out again. There's Ricky Williams on the other end of the spectrum. I'm not sure exactly where Gronk falls, but he clearly, at the moment, feels like he got what he came here for.
I think Ricky Williams loved football. Ricky Williams loved team sports. Ricky Williams couldn't deal with being in society. He had
social
issues.
Anxiety and
yes, that was his biggest problem. My first day I played my last year with the Dolphins, Ricky Williams, man, he was a pleasure as a teammate. No, absolutely. So, no, there's different varieties of reasons, but if he could have dealt with it and controlled his anxiety socially, I believe he would have had a long career because he loved the game.
But the pain that Gronk talks about, part of the harsh reality, is a reminder of it that come with playing the game of football. Take a break. Coming up, will Cam Newton be ready to play Week 1 against the Rams? That's next on FS1. You can always check us out on the Fox Sports channel. It's on Sirius XM. We'll be right back.
I keep telling you, stop messing with me, man. Everybody ain't meant to play that game like I did, man.